Good day, everyone. This is Michael Gallagher, president of the Stevie Awards, and the topic of today's video is Creative Media Awards in the 2011 Stevies. How to win for your advertising, websites, videos, live events, and more. And over the next 40 minutes or so, we'll talk about types of categories that are available in the various Stevie Awards competitions for creative media, how to prepare entries for those categories and how to submit them, and our recommendations as to best categories. At the end, we'll provide you with contact information, but I can't overemphasize, and I'll repeat it several times during this video, we do encourage you to call us and email us with your questions. We're very happy to help you find the categories that are the best fit for your work, for your entries. We do treat all entrants the same. It doesn't matter whether you're calling from a Fortune 100 company or a small startup. We're going to treat you the same, and we want to give everyone the same opportunity to showcase their work in the best possible way. The agenda for this video, we'll talk about what the Stevie Awards are and their history. We'll look at the schedules for the Stevie Awards competitions in 2011. There are 4 competitions, but we're really going to be talking only about 3 of them. The available category types in those competitions, the categories in each competition, and how to prepare and submit entries for them, how the judging process works, some best practices that we recommend you follow, and we'll get to your questions. We'll talk about how to address those. The Stevie Awards are considered by many people, and certainly by us, but many others as well, as the world's premier business awards program. They were begun in 2002, and there are 4 competitions. The oldest and largest is the American Business Awards, which is open to all organizations operating in the USA. The others, which are the International Business Awards, the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, and the Stevie Awards for Sales and Customer Service, those 3 are all open to all organizations worldwide. When I say all organizations, I mean large and small, public and private, nonprofit and for-profit. So it's not just companies, trade associations and professional societies, government agencies, and non-government organizations of all types are also welcome to submit nominations. The Stevie Awards are about the world of work in all its various forms, and they seek each year to honor achievements in the workplace of all types of organizations. As I mentioned, we're going to be only talking about 3 of these competitions, and those are the first 3 listed here: the American Business Awards, the International Business Awards, and the Stevie Awards for Women in Business. And the reason for that is the Stevie Awards for Sales and Customer Service does not have any Creative Media Awards categories. It has no categories for live events or advertising or websites, so we won't be talking about that one at all today. The Stevie Award trophy, by the way, which I'll show you here, is made by the same company that makes the Oscar and the Emmy and other major trophies. It is with the glass triangle atop, about 16 inches tall. It's a very impressive award. We've heard from people who've won it that once they win a Stevie, they actually feel like they've won an award, despite the fact that they've won many awards in the past. This really feels like they've achieved something. It's about 8 pounds, so it does have a significant slump factor when you're handed one on stage at one of our events. So it is a nice prize when you win one. We'll talk very briefly here about the 3 competitions that we're going to focus on. The American Business Awards are now in their 9th year. As I mentioned, it's the only one of the 3 competitions we're going to be talking about that's not open to all organizations worldwide. It is open to organizations operating in the U.S. So if your organization is outside the U.S., if you have operations in the USA, those operations may be nominated in the American Business Awards. Entries for the 2011 American Business Awards are now being accepted. It will be accepted through April 27th, which is the last day the late entries will be accepted. The International Business Awards are now in their 8th year. They are open to all organizations worldwide. And entries in the IBAs will be accepted this year through June 8, which is the last day that late entries will be accepted. The Stevie Awards for Women in Business are in their 8th year. It says 9th year there, but it is the 8th year. They are open to all organizations worldwide, and entries this year will be accepted through September 30th. They will open in May, and September 30th is the last day that late entries will be accepted. And by the way, IBA entries are also now being accepted. This chart illustrates the types of work that are accepted in the 3 competitions. You'll see there's a strong parallel between the American Business Awards and the International Business Awards. There are just a handful of categories for creative media in the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, so we will address those today. But most of our focus will be on the American Business Awards and the International Business Awards. We'll talk about each of these types of media in turn. For advertising campaigns and single ads, the International Business Awards have 33 industry-specific categories for campaigns and single ads, 4 craft and technique categories, and in the 2011 International Business Awards, advertising that was first issued with client approval since January 1st of 2010 will be accepted. Very briefly, we'll show you the page on the International Business Awards website that lists those categories. You'll see the 33 industry-specific categories, and then there are 4 to recognize copywriting, art direction, and design, and so on. In the American Business Awards, there are just a handful now of advertising campaign categories that are listed under the Marketing Campaign of the Year categories. We used to have as many advertising categories in the ABAs as we still have in the IBAs, but we eliminated them this year, and as you'll see in our recommendation section in a moment, if you have a lot of advertising work to submit, we recommend you look at the IBAs first. Again, if you'd like to enter your advertising work in the American Business Awards, we have a handful of advertising categories. As you can see here, we have a category for Business-to-Business Advertising Campaign of the Year, Consumer Advertising Campaign of the Year. And advertising campaigns in general in the ABAs can now be entered in any of the Marketing Campaign of the Year categories, and there are 33 industry-specific ones, as you can see there. But advertising campaigns entered in these categories will not necessarily be going up just against other advertising campaigns. They'll be going up against marketing campaigns of many different types. And if you're okay with that, you're most welcome to enter the American Business Awards if you're eligible. But again, looking at the comparison, it may make sense it may be that the International Business Awards make sense for you more than the American Business Awards. The Stevie Awards for Women in Business has 1 category for advertising campaigns, and it is for campaigns created by, for, or about women. And for the 2011 Stevie Awards for Women in Business, campaigns that were introduced to the marketplace with client approval since July 1st of 2010 will be eligible to be entered in that competition. So again, our recommendation is that for most advertising campaigns, the International Business Awards should be your first choice. The American Business Awards for U.S.-based campaigns of a particular type are welcome. And again, if you're comfortable with your campaigns competing in the Marketing Campaign of the Year categories, you're most welcome to enter that. And the Stevie Awards for Women in Business is appropriate for niche campaigns, and there's just 1 category there. Let's move on now to annual reports and other types of publications. The International Business Awards and the American Business Awards have categories for these types of media. In the International Business Awards, there are 10 categories for annual reports, house organs or corporate magazines, marketing brochures or kits, company history publications, and other types of publications. And the International Business Awards this year will accept pieces that were issued since January 1st of 2010. And very briefly, we'll look at those categories in the International Business Awards, and here they are. You'll see there are 2 categories for annual reports, 1 for online or electronic publications, and 1 for print annual reports. There are 4 categories for house organs of different types, 2 categories for marketing and sales brochures or kits for electronic and for print, for company history, and for other types of publications that don't need to be fit into one of those other categories. The American Business Awards have 6 categories for annual reports, marketing brochures or kits, and house organs. And again, they will accept pieces that were first issued since January 1st of 2010. And here you can see those 6 categories: 2 types for annual reports, 2 types for best marketing brochure or sales kit, and 2 for house organ or publication. For apps, for smartphone or tablet apps, the International Business Awards are currently the only Stevie Awards competition with categories to recognize smartphone or tablet apps, and there are 7 of them. And apps issued since January 1st, 2010 are eligible to be entered. And here are those lists of the 7 categories in the International Business Awards. There are categories for apps for a business or government audience, for consumer entertainment or information, for a marketing purpose, for a professional education purpose, for public information, for a sales purpose, and for a training purpose. So if you have a tablet or smartphone app that you'd like to nominate, definitely take a look at the International Business Awards. We even have categories in the Stevie Awards to recognize creative professionals themselves for their overall body of work during the year. In the International Business Awards, we have 4 of those categories, and they are Advertising or Design Agency of the Year, Creative Department of the Year, Creative Team of the Year, and Creative Executive of the Year. And in the 2011 International Business Award, those categories will recognize achievements since January 1st of 2010. In the American Business Awards, we only have 1 such category, and it is for Marketing or Advertising Agency of the Year. And again, that will recognize achievements since January 2010. The requirement for these categories is a bit different from the requirements for other types of creative media categories, and after we finish reviewing the category types, we'll talk about those requirements. For interactive multimedia, and that is productions that are issued on DVD or online that involve consumer interaction, the same 7 categories are available in both the International Business Awards and the American Business Awards. And they are, by the way, the same categories that are available for apps in the International Business Awards. You see those listed here. And in both competitions, productions issued since January 1st, 2010 are eligible to be entered. For live events, the same 8 categories are available in both the International Business Awards and the American Business Awards. You can see those listed here. They include Best Consumer Event, Best Trade Show or Convention, Best Association Event or Meeting, Best Corporate Image Event, Best New Product Introduction Event, Best Internal Recognition or Motivational Event, Best Sales Meeting, or Best Sales Presentation. And in both competitions, productions staged since January 1st, 2010 are eligible to be entered in 2011. There are a great number of marketing categories which may be of interest to you in both the International Business Awards, the American Business Awards, and even the Stevie Awards for women in business. And very quickly, there are 5 categories, and including 2 for Marketing Campaign of the Year in the International Business Awards. There are 33 industry-specific Marketing Campaign of the Year categories in the American Business Awards, plus 9 specialty marketing campaign categories, and 5 categories recognizing marketing agencies and professionals. In the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, there are 2 campaign categories recognizing marketing campaigns by or for women. And as with the other types of categories, work produced since January 1st of 2010 is eligible to be entered in the ABAs and the IBAs. In the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, campaigns issued since July 1st of 2010 will be eligible for entry this year. The same 24 categories honoring various types of video are available in both the International Business Awards and the American Business Awards. And in both cases, productions issued since January 1st, 2010 are eligible to be entered. And very quickly, let's look at that list of categories on the International Business Awards website. Here you see them. There are categories for various types of public relations related and sales related videos, categories for orientation and motivational videos, and so on. So if you have a video production, no matter how it was distributed in 2010, you're welcome to take a look at those categories in the IBAs and the ABAs. The Stevie Awards receive a great number of website and blog entries, and the thing that differentiates, one of the most important things that differentiates the website and blog categories in our competitions from the other type of media categories is that there's no eligibility time frame for website or blog entries. It doesn't matter when your website or blog was first published. Since websites and blogs are living entities and they change on a daily, if not hourly basis, it doesn't matter if your website or blog was first published in 2003 or in 1995. It's not the same animal today that it was back then. So it doesn't matter when it was first published. In the International Business Awards, there are 33 industry-specific categories for websites and blogs, plus 14 craft and function categories. In the American Business Awards, there are 33 industry-specific categories, plus 11 craft and function categories. And in the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, there are just 2 categories: for Website of the Year, produced by or for women, and for Blog of the Year, produced by or for women. And very quickly, let's look at the website categories for the International Business Awards. You'll see here the 33 industry-specific categories, and then there are the 14 craft and function categories, and you'll see there are 3 new ones this year for Best Mobile Site, Best Facebook Fan Page or Group, or Best LinkedIn Group. All right, so that's a brief rundown of the types of categories that are available for creative media and creative professionals in the Stevie Awards in 2011. And here are the steps that we recommend that you follow if you're interested in exploring entry. The first step is to get and read the entry kit. A separate entry kit is available for these 3 competitions. And the requesting process is very, very simple. On the American Business Awards homepage, there's a little form here on the right-hand side. Just fill in your name and email address, and the entry kit will be emailed to you automatically. On the International Business Awards homepage, which looks very much like the ABA site, oh, that is the ABA site. This is the IBA site. You'll see there's the same form on the right-hand side, and the IBA entry kit will be emailed to you when you fill that out. For the Stevie Awards for Women in Business, you'll see on the right-hand side of the homepage there's a link to request an entry kit. If you click on that link, you'll come to this form. It's a little bit longer than the other ones. If you fill out that form, you'll be emailed the entry kit. If the awards are out of season, for example, if you request the Stevie Awards for Women in Business entry kit now, it won't be emailed to you until May when entries open this year, but at least you'll be put on the mailing list. But for the ABAs and the IBAs, which are now accepting entries, that will be emailed to you right away. It's not a hard requirement to request and review the entry kit because we explain on the various websites how to submit entries, but it's highly recommended. And let's just take a look at one of these entry kits look like. This is the International Business Awards entry kit. So basically what you'll be emailed is a link to this online entry kit, which you can only find through that link. And in this entry kit, you'll find links to the most important pages on our website. And we do single these out because we do have a lot of content on our websites. In some cases, it may be hard to find some of this stuff. So we do consolidate links to the most important resources on the entry kit. And most importantly, there's a section headed How to Prepare and Submit Your Entries. And in that section are links to PDF forms, which we recommend that you print out and read right away. They explain all your category options, how to submit entries, what the entry fees are, and so on. We just covered that. There are 2 types of categories in the Stevie Awards competition. There are the media categories, which we're focusing on this video today. And there are other types of categories that recognize entire companies or organizations, individual departments and teams within organizations, new products and services and individuals. And those have slightly different requirements than the media categories. But we have standardized requirements across all the categories, meaning that if you know how to enter one of the categories in the Stevie Awards, you pretty much know how to enter all of the categories. For the media categories in general, The requirements are a 100-word brief describing the goals, the purpose, and the results to date of the nominated work. The nominated media elements themselves, whether you're submitting them online, a link to an online element, or submitting it offline. And optionally, you have the option to submit creative and production credits for the work. Now, the exceptions to this, in the categories that we've talked about today, is that you may submit up to 500 words for the live event categories, and that's because a live event can't be represented in toto in your entry. So we give you some more space there to describe and create a picture of your event for the judges. And the creative and marketing categories, creative categories being creative department of the year, agency of the year, and so on, and the marketing campaign categories. Again, in those categories, you may submit up to 500 words. Even if you'll submit your entry materials offline, let's say you have a printed annual report and you need to submit that offline, you can still submit your entry paperwork online. In a moment, we'll show you how to do that. The questions we receive most often in our office are, you folks have a lot of categories. How do I pick categories? And the two questions we would ask you is, what do you want to be recognized for? And do you want to win a Stevie in any category or a specific category? And that's important because the 80-20 rule applies in the Stevie Awards as it does in most other things in life, in that 20% of the categories receive 80% of the entries. So some categories get a tremendous number of entries and you'll have a lot of competition in them, while other categories don't get so many. And if you can fit your entry into those categories, you'll have less competition, and that's generally better for people to have less competition. So when you're inquiring about the categories that might be a best fit for you, think about your answers to those questions, because we'll ask you those questions, and then we'll help narrow down the category choices for you to the categories that are the best fit. So once you've received the entry kit and you've reviewed it and you've got an idea of what your categories are, the first thing you should do is write your entries. We recommend that you write your entries before you go to these next steps of actually submitting them online. Don't write them on the fly online. Make sure that you have a permanent record of your entries. So you're going to register on the website of your choice, whether it's the ABAs or the IBAs or the Stevies for Women, which is essentially going to create an account in our online system. And once you've done that, you're going to copy and paste your entries into the online entry form and submit your entries and pay your entry fees. So let's take a look at that process now. This is the registration form on the International Business Awards website. And you can see I pre-filled it out with some information about a fictitious company. We've got our company name, which is ABC Company. Let's say that XYZ Public Relations, my public relations agency, is submitting this on our behalf. So they would put their name here. We've got our industry, our number of employees, our 400-character description of the company, which is not really part of the entry, it's just part of the account. It's a very brief description of the organization. Since I'm a public relations agency submitting this on behalf of my client, I'm going to put my contact information on the form. If I were with ABC Company and entering directly, I would put my contact information here. The contact that's listed here will be our single point of contact with the entrant for all future correspondence about the disposition of the entries. So make sure that you put the person who we can communicate with regularly here. All right, so that's, by submitting this form, I'm creating an account through which I can submit my entries. All right, so let's say that I've submitted that form, and once I've submitted that form, I've got an account. And here's an account on the American Business Awards website. You can see that I've logged in. It's greeting me by name. You can see that I've already created one test entry. It says this is a test. It says this is saved but not yet submitted. So let's go through the process of creating an entry for one of the website categories. I'm going to click the orange Add Nominations button. And here are the groups of categories. So let's go down here to Marketing, Websites, and Blogs, and so on, and click the plus sign next to that, which will expand it. And then go under Website and Blog categories. And ABC Company is a maker of ball bearings, our fictitious company. So let's say that we want to go under, we're a manufacturing company, so we're going to click Manufacturing. And for an overview of any of these categories, or any of the categories in the system, if you click on the category title, you'll see up will pop a brief description of the category. So we've selected a manufacturing website category. So let's go to the bottom of the screen and click Continue. And here is the online entry form. It shows the entry fee at this point of being $225. We'll talk about entry fees in a moment here after we go through this process. So let's give it a brief title. ABC Company Website. Right, I've already written my fictitious entry. I'm going to copy and paste that into this form. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste this. January 10th, 2003, the date our website was first published. Here's the 100-word brief, including the link to our website. And as you can see, we ask that you put square brackets around anything that you want to be clickable in your entry. If it doesn't have square brackets around it, our system won't present it as clickable to the judges. So that's very important. But you'll be reminded anytime we need you to do that. And here are our creative and production credits for the website. We'll include those in here. All right, so that's our entry. We're going to now click Save. And you can see that my ABC Company website entry is now listed as being one of the entries that are saved but not yet submitted. Now let's say that I forgot to include something in my overview. I can click on that title, and I can add a few more words here. Right, and if I'm happy with that now, I can save it. So before an entry is submitted, you can edit it any number of times. And you don't have to submit all of the entries that you have created. Let's say that I decide I don't want to nominate this new product that I had previously saved. I just want to nominate the website. So I'm going to click the checkbox next to the website title, and then I'm going to click the Submit Selected Nominations button. It's going to tell me that the entry fee at this point in the American Business Awards for this website entry is $225. I'm going to click Continue. And it's going to give me the option of paying by credit card or by check. Let's say I want to pay by check. It tells me how to do that. So I'm going to click Complete. And I've submitted my entry. As you can see, this entry is now submitted, the ABC Company website. It has a lock image next to the title, meaning that the editing of the entry is now locked. So I can view my entry, but once it is submitted, I can no longer edit it. So that's a very brief overview of the entry process. As you can see, it's pretty simple. Most of the judging for the Stevie Awards competitions is done online. About 90% of it is done online. The only categories that are judged offline are the categories for materials that have to be submitted offline. In some cases, videos that have to be submitted on DVD, annual reports or brochures that are submitted offline. But most of the categories are judged online. There are, in each of the competitions, there are anywhere from 75 to 100 volunteers each year who participate in preliminary judging, and preliminary judging determines the finalists. And there are generally an equal number of invited professionals who participate in final judging. The final judging determines the Stevie Award winners from among the finalists. On each of the websites there is a volunteer form if you'd like to volunteer to be a preliminary judge. Here's the form on the American Business Awards website. You can be an entrant and a judge because we have the ability to assign to you categories in which you're not an entrant, so you can judge categories that your own organization does not have entries in. All the judges are acknowledged on the website and in the awards dinner programs. Here, for example, is the list of preliminary judges in the 2010 American Business Awards. So they will be recognized in perpetuity on the website and in the awards dinner program, which is also downloadable from the website. Final judging is, as I mentioned, is conducted by invitees. It's our tradition to nominate the prior year's winners to be among the current year's final judges. And very quickly, let's take a look at the judging system. I'm going to log into a test account that I made for myself, and I believe I assigned myself some of the website categories. There we go. So it greets me by name, and it's showing me some of the website categories that have to be judged in this year's American Business Awards. So let's say that we have this Burger King microsite redesign entry submitted by BGT Partners in Miami. If I want to judge that entry, I'll click on its title. Here's the control panel for the judges at the top with instructions on how to score a nomination. With the scoring system, including options to recuse from an entry that I shouldn't be judging. Perhaps I know someone on the Burger King account, even though I don't work for BGT Partners, I shouldn't be judging this. If I think an entry is in a wrong category, I can choose that as my selection. I can provide comments about the entry, so if I give this entry a score of 6 or lower, I'm obliged as a judge to provide a constructive comment that might be shared later with the entrant. And I can read the entry, I can click on the URL to view the website, and I can either submit that score and go to the next nomination, submit the score, and return to the judge's homepage, or cancel, which is what I'm going to do because I am not a judge. So that's a very quick look at the judging system. Some best practices that we recommend that you follow. Most Stevie Award winning entries from the past are published in full text on the website. We encourage you to read them. Even if you're submitting in media categories that don't require a lot of text, I think it's helpful to you to see what entries have been submitted in the past that judges have appreciated. And very quickly, the way that you find those is go under the awards on any of our websites and click on honorees. Here, for example, is the list of honorees in 2010 American Business Awards. We could just as easily do it on the International Business Awards, which we'll do quickly. So here are the honorees, for example, in the media categories in the 2010 International Business Awards. And if I want to see this Stevie Award winning entry from PH Danis Manlik in Istanbul, Turkey, for a website they did for Coca-Cola, I can see the full text of their entry. So it should be very helpful to you to read those entries. Again, ask questions. In a moment I'll provide you with our telephone number and email address. By all means, if you have questions about categories, about the entry process, it does not hurt your chances to ask questions. We want to help you. We want to see you do well. It's very important that you tell your story well. As you can see, the entries are text-based, and even the media categories that only require 100 words require to write you a little story in 100 words. And the judges are just people, and people respond to stories well told. If you can't write well, get someone who does write well to write your entries for you. Do write your entries before submitting them online so that you have a permanent record of your entries just in case there's some website glitch that day or you lose power while you're writing your entry online. We don't want you to lose it. It's a good hedge to enter multiple categories if you can afford to do that. Again, 20% of the categories receive 80% of the entries. We usually have some idea of which categories are going to do well year to year, but we can be surprised. So it's a good hedge to enter multiple categories if you can afford to do that. We do encourage you to keep up to date with what's happening with the Stevie Awards with our email newsletter, with our Twitter feed, and our presence on Facebook and LinkedIn. We do publish a lot of profiles and case studies about the results of our awards and profiles of winners, past winners. So it's a good way to keep up to date with what's happening. Each of our awards programs has an awards banquet, and you are not obliged, you do not have to attend to win. We do not, in 3 of the 4 Stevie Awards programs, we do not pre-announce the winners. We do pre-announce the winners for the International Business Awards. So this year's International Business Awards event will be September 27 in Abu Dhabi. We will announce the winners in that competition in early July. The winners do come from all over the world for the IBAs, And we do want them to know that if they're coming from the Philippines or Korea or Australia, they do have a good reason to make the long trip to Abu Dhabi for that event. The American Business Awards banquet this year is Monday, June 20th in New York. Finalists will be announced in mid-May, but again, the winners will not be announced until that night and will not be tipped off in advance. Similarly, the Stevie Awards for Women in Business event this year is Friday, November 11th in New York. Finalists will be announced about a month in advance of that, but winners will not be tipped off in advance. It will be announced that evening. Sponsorships are available. You can go to the sponsors page on each of the websites to learn about those options. We do encourage you to volunteer to be a judge. Again, there's no conflict of interest in being both a judge and an entrant, because we do have the ability to let you judge categories in which you're not an entrant. And here is our contact information. Our email address is info@stevieawards.com. Telephone number is 703-547-8389. We do encourage you to contact us with your questions. That's probably about the 5th time I've said that during this presentation, but I can't overemphasize it. We do welcome it. It's not going to hurt your chances at all. So thank you for tuning in today. We hope that you found this process helpful. And best of luck in the 2011 Stevie Awards entering the media categories, and we're here to help.